You're welcome to Excellent Simplified Tutorials.
So today we'll be talking about evolution. And evolution is one topic you always see in exams. So I'll be bringing the focus to what you'll be seeing in exam and not generally every fact you need to know about evolution. Now, the word evolution came from the root word evolve. So let's look at the English word evolve. What does it mean for something to evolve? To come from something, right? When they say, let's say I evolve from, it means I come from something, right? Good. Now, evolution is a gradual changes that leads to the formation of complex organisms from simpler ones. Are we following? When we talk about evolution, we are looking at the gradual changes, gradual developments that lead to the formation of complex organisms from simpler ones. Now, you've heard that they say human beings, we evolved from fish to amphibians. You've heard something like that, right? Among you, as a human being and fish, who is more complex? You are more complex than fish, right? Now, let's agree with what they say. We coming from amphibians. That's evolution. So evolution, we are looking at a gradual change, a gradual development that leads to the formation of complex organisms from simpler ones. Do we get that now? Please, I don't encourage cramming. Just understand. That's evolution. They put on theories that will support their claim of evolution. So we're going to look at some of those theories. And the first one there is what? Lamarck's theory. Now, Jean Lamarck first, he was first trained as a botanist. Who is a botanist? Someone that studies plants, right? So Jean Lamarck was studying plants. That was his main field. But when he was 50 years, he switched from being a botanist to being a zoologist. So he started studying animals when he was 50 years. And from his study, he proposed the theory of what? Of what? Use and disuse, all right? Use and disuse of body parts. Now, Jean Lamarck, from his experience, he said, okay, this evolution we are talking about, this gradual development of complex organisms from simpler ones, is as a result of use and disuse of body parts. So it was like any part of the body the organism does not use for a very long period of time, that part of the body will disappear. It was also like if you continue to use a particular part of your body very well, that part will develop very well and you can pass it on to your offspring. And that gradual change over the years, over time, you now see that the people now will be different, far different from years back, those that were existing years back. That was his theory. For you now, do you think that is right? Like if I go to the gym now, like I'm going to the gym now, and my muscle is as big as this. What Jean Lamarck was talking about is, this my big muscle now, I can pass it on to my child. Is it that as I just give birth to my child, you just see a child with big muscle like this? Or maybe as the child grows up, because the dad has big muscle, the child will have big muscles. Is it like that? Now, Jean Lamarck, he talked about use and disuse of body parts. So you see it in exam. Use and disuse of body parts was proposed by who? Jean Lamarck. Is that clear? So he was like, why giraffe have long neck? You all know that giraffes have long neck, right? It was like giraffes feed on leaves and they are always stretching their neck to get the leaves from the tree, from the tall tree. So because they are always stretching their neck over time became very long as it is now. That before it was not like that. Jean Lamarck. But after some time, with experience, they came to find out that it's not true. That acquired characteristics cannot be passed on from parents to offspring. Acquired traits, acquired features cannot be passed on from parents to offspring. We looked at inheritance, genetics, and you agree with me that the only traits that can be passed on from parents to offspring are those that are controlled by genes, right? Those that are controlled by genes. So if it is not controlled by the gene, then it cannot be passed on from parents to offspring. Do you get that? So acquired traits cannot be passed on from parents to offspring. So the use and disuse of body parts as a theory of evolution was found deficient because acquired traits cannot pass from offspring, from parents to offspring. Do you understand that? Any question on that? Any question on this? Okay, the second theory here, Darwin's theory, right? Now Charles Darwin is one of the most famous evolutionists. Now, and what was his theory all about? Theory of what? Natural selection, right? Theory of natural selection. That was Darwin's theory. Natural selection. And I said he worked with who? Who and who? Alfred Wallace, right? So in conjunction with Alfred Wallace, he proposed this theory by natural selection. Now this was his theory. He proposed that. Now let's take for example, this is the area. This is where organisms are living. And let's say we have 10 animals here. 10 of them here on this land. And there is disease outbreak. Some of them, you know, even in human population, some persons are more resistant to disease than others. Some persons, more time they don't fall sick, more time sickness. But some persons are strong. Now, Darwin's theory is based on the fact that those organisms that are best fitted to the environment can survive, and those that are not best fitted to, and those that cannot adapt to the environment will die off. So those that are best fitted to the environment can transfer that trait from generation to generation. That's why they call it natural selection, or the theory of what? Survival of the fittest. Those that fit most in the environment will survive. Those that cannot fit into the environment will die off. Do we get that? Anyone that survives. Okay, now for something, okay, we have, just like I said we have 10 of these animals here. If 3 dies and we are having 7 left, something should tell you that the 7 remaining have something that is making them survive. Is it not? That maybe the other 3 lacked. Now these 7 things, these 7 animals can pass on the traits to the next generation. So they fit better to the environment, and that was why they survived. Survival of the fittest. Any question on that? Evidence for evolution. Evidence for evolution. Now these are the 5 basic evidence for evolution. The first one here is biochemical similarities. Biochemical similarities. Second one here is molecular records, fossil records, comparative anatomy, and embryology. Now let's take them one after the other. Biochemical similarities. Biochemical similarities. Now remember, in evolution we said we are looking at a gradual change, right? Gradual development of complex organisms from simpler ones, right? Now, we don't know if this is true or false, but so they want to prove that this fact is actually true. That was why they brought about all this evidence for evolution. So if you are telling me that complex organisms come from small organisms, develop from small organisms, what are the evidence to show that complex organisms like you came from smaller organisms like amphibians? What are the evidences to show that? Do you get that? So now the evidence, 5 of them are here. Biochemical similarities. Biochemistry, bio is talking about life, right? Now, biochemistry is just, we are studying about the molecular basis of life, chemistry of life. And you and I knows that chemistry is what? The study of what? Matter, right? And its composition. So we are not just studying matter, but also the composition of matter. So we'll just look at matter. This is matter. And what is matter composed of? What is this thing composed of? That's chemistry. Anything matter. This is matter. And matter. Okay, after knowing that matter, what am I composed of? What am I made up of? You study what I'm made up of. That's chemistry. Now, biochemical, biochemistry, now the matter equation here is living things. So we are studying the chemistry of living thing. We are studying the composition of this living thing. Do we get that? So when we look at biochemical similarities, after studying what the living thing is made up of, is there a trend? Let's say you are studying human being and amphibians. You've studied what human being is made up of. You've studied what amphibians are made up of. Now, is there a trend? Is there a similarity? Good. Now, in biochemical similarity, we use the knowledge of cell biology and serological reactions. Cell biology. We are studying the cell. So you study the cells of the organisms in question, maybe the amphibian, maybe the human being. You study the cell and what is found in this cell and what is not found in this cell. In biochemical similarities, we use the idea of cell biology and what? Serological reactions, right? Now, looking at the cell, can you say that human beings evolved from bacteria? Can you say that rightly, that human beings evolved from bacteria? Now, you as a human being, look at the cell. Do you have the same type of cell as that of bacteria? Bacteria, are they prokaryotic or eukaryotic? They are prokaryotes, right? Are you a prokaryote or you're eukaryote? So normal sense should tell you that from that, you can't say maybe you are directly from bacteria. No. Cell biology, you study the cell. Study what is in this cell and study what is in the other cell, and you look for trends, you look for similarities. That is biochemical similarity. Now, when we talk about serological reactions, serology is the study of body fluids, is the study of antigen-antibody reactions in our system. Antigen-antibody reactions. Good 18, today we'll be talking about polymorphism. So you'll get more about this. You'll get more facts about antigens and antibodies. You get more facts about that. Now, in serological reactions, you study body fluids, the composition of body fluids. What is the body fluid of this one made up of? What is the body fluid of the other one made up of? Antigen, antibody reactions. So, in biochemical similarities, studying the cell, you can actually create a trend to see if this organism evolved from this one or not. That's one. Molecular records, we said, is based on what? It's based on the fact that genetic information, hereditary information of organisms are stored where? Nucleic acid. We talked about nucleic acid before. And nucleic acids, we said there are two types of nucleic acids, right? The two types of nucleic acids are what and what? RNA and DNA. Good. RNA and DNA. Now, we said the building block of nucleic acid is what? Nucleotide, right? Good. Okay, I won't go into that much, but in molecular records, knowing that your genetic information is stored in nucleic acid, particularly DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. Now we study the structure of this DNA. Normally, Watson and Crick studied the structure of DNA and they found out that the DNA is double-stranded. Two strands like this. Then the bases are found here. This is the structure. This is how the structure of the DNA looks like. But in studying the DNA and you find changes or alterations to this normal trend, how it's supposed to be. Okay, in fish, this is how their DNA looks like. In amphibians, this is how it looks like. And you see a gradual trend. Nobody will tell you that, okay, this thing is coming like this. Maybe this one came from this one came from this. Because you're seeing a gradual trend. in their nucleic acid. Good. So that's that. The fossil record. Do you know that from old remains you can actually study trends? There is a topic, though not here, palynology. You study pollen grains. From pollen grains you can get facts about, sometimes they will just come here and say and tell you 200 years ago this set of persons lived here. So in fossil record most times are stored in sedimentary rocks. In secondary school you were taught about igneous rock, metamorphic rock, and what? Sedimentary rocks, right? You still remember that? Good. Now if you go to rocks, in the rocks you can see materials, old stuffs, archaic matter that you can use to tell, oh, something existed here. This is how they looked like. So from there you can trace, is an evidence of evolution. Comparative anatomy. We know that anatomy is the study of what? Internal structure, right? While physiology is the study of what? Functions, is it not? The function, that's physiology. Anatomy, internal structure. Morphology is what? External feature, is it not? Now comparative anatomy. In comparative anatomy we are studying the structure of the organisms involved, and you say, okay, look at the trend from the internal structure. For example, there is the brain, the size of the brain. It has been discovered that there is a gradual increase in the size of brains from fish to amphibians to mammals, like that. There is a gradual increase in the size of brain. So since there is a gradual increase, it's not like this one, the fish size of fish brain is big, amphibian small, human beings now big. There's a gradual change, there's a trend. So that trend, with that trend, they assume that this gradual change leads to evolution. So that's comparative anatomy. Now embryology. Already you know that logy means what? Study, right? We are studying the what? Embryo. We are studying the embryo. Embryology, the study of the embryo shows a similar trend. They say that your embryo look like that of your ancestor. So our ancestor now, like our ape, like the ape, sorry, their ancestor, the ape, your embryo looks like the embryo of that ape, especially in the early stages of development. So now looking at this trend, this gradual change, this similarity, it said we evolved from. So these are the evidences of evolution. Now the questions come from this area in Positemi or JAM. They will not ask you to explain this. They can do that in WAEC. But here what they ask you is, which is not an evidence of evolution? Which is not an evidence of evolution?